Before we get started, let me make something crystal clear to everyone that's watching. Everything I'm about to say is 100% verifiable. If you think I'm just hating, go ahead, fact check every single thing I mention. The numbers don't lie. And once you see them, you'll realize the 2007 LeBron James carried the Cavs to the finals by himself story is one of the most overblown myths in NBA history. But first, welcome, my name is Paul, and this is The Basketball Show, where I talk today's NBA, current events, news, players, and more. All completely unbiased, even though some people disagree, because any opposing opinion to weak people is always hating. Truth is truth, and I try to stand by that. Now let's rewind to the 2006-07 season. LeBron James was 22 years old, young, talented, athletic, and absolutely the face of the Cleveland Cavaliers. He was like 5th or 6th in MVP voting that season. That year, the Cavs went 50-32, finishing 2nd in the Eastern Conference behind the Detroit Pistons. But here is what people forget. The Cavaliers team was good, really good. They were ranked 4th in the entire NBA in defensive rating at 101.3, right behind the Spurs, Bulls, and Rockets. This wasn't a one-man army carrying scrubs. This was one of the league's better defensive teams, coached by Mike Brown, running a system built around team discipline and rotations. So when people act like LeBron dragged some lifeless 30-win roster to the finals, that's already false. Now let's walk through that playoff run because that's where the legend was born. First round, Washington Wizards. Record 41-41 on the season. A 500 team missing its two best players, Gilbert Arenas and Caron Butler, both out with injuries for the entire series. Cleveland swept them 4-0, and yes, LeBron was solid. But let's be honest, that Wizards team was broken. It wasn't a challenge. Second round, New Jersey Nets. Another middle-of-the-pack squad. They finished the season 41-41 as well. Jason Kidd and Vince Carter were great names, but they weren't contenders anymore. This team didn't have Kenyon Martin anymore, and its two main stars were over 30 years old. The Cavs won in 6 games. Again, good job, but not exactly the gauntlet of death people make it sound like. So 2 rounds in, LeBron's Cavaliers hadn't faced a single elite team. Then came the Eastern Conference Finals versus Detroit Pistons. Now this was the real test. Detroit had gone to the conference finals 5 straight years. Chauncey Billups, Rip Hamilton, Tayshaun Prince, Rasheed Wallace, they were tough, experienced, and physical. But this wasn't the Ben Wallace Pistons we remember. Ben Wallace wasn't on that team anymore. They had an over-the-hill Rasheed Wallace and Chris Webber as their big men. They were older than the Cavs. The Cavs fell behind 2-0 right out of the gate. And that's where the cracks start to show in this whole LeBron carried the team myth. In Game 1, LeBron scored 10 points on 33% shooting in 42 minutes. You heard it right. He scored 10 points in 42 minutes. That's it. In Game 2, he managed 19 points on 36% shooting. So after 2 games, the Cavs were down 0-2 largely because LeBron James couldn't buy a bucket. People forget that, but the box scores don't. After that, the Cavs won all 4 games, and LeBron had a 25-point game, 32-point game, and yes, he bounced back with that legendary Game 5. The one where he dropped 48 points, including 29 of Cleveland's last 30, and that double overtime finish. That was one of the greatest individual playoff games ever, no question. But one great night doesn't erase the fact that his shooting and consistency over the entire series were simply shaky. His shooting for the series was 44% overall. I think many people look at that series through how the game is played today. They look at LeBron's teammates and figure how low their point per game averages were when they look at their profiles, but think those games were played to like 120 points per team. Wrong. This was a defensive slugfest. Cavs averaged 89 points a game in this series, not even 90. The Pistons averaged 86 points per game. Across 6 games against Detroit, LeBron averaged 25.7 points, 9.2 rebounds, and 8.5 assists. Solid, but not astronomical. And his efficiency dropped when it mattered. Then came Game 6, the one that sent Cleveland to the NBA Finals. This game is what the media never tells you the full story about. May 31st, 2007, Game 6, Cleveland, Ohio. The Cavaliers and Pistons are tied 48-48 at halftime. The tension is high. LeBron scores 9 points in the entire first half. 9 points. Detroit's experience versus Cleveland youth. Everyone expects LeBron to take over and finish what he started in Game 5. But he didn't. LeBron scored only 3 points in the third quarter, then just 8 points in the fourth quarter. That's 11 points total in the entire second half. In Cleveland, and he shot 27% from the field that night. His worst shooting performance of the entire series. He had 20 points. So how did Cleveland win 98-82 and advance to the finals? One man, Daniel "Boogie" Gibson. A rookie averaging 8 points per game that entire postseason. In Game 6, Gibson exploded for 31 points, hitting 7 of 9 shots from the field and 5 of 5 from 3. He scored 6 points in the third quarter and then went absolutely nuclear in the fourth. 19 points in that final quarter alone. 19. A rookie. He didn't just help, he won them that game. You could say maybe LeBron had a lot of assists and set him up for many of those points. Nope. LeBron James had only 3 assists in the entire second half, and 8 total for the game, so 5 in the first half. Without Gibson's explosion, Cleveland loses that night. Game 7 shifts back to Detroit, and there's a good chance the Cavs never make the finals at all. That's not an exaggeration, that's reality. Gibson's 25-point second half against one of the best defensive teams in basketball was the difference. LeBron couldn't hit, his third garbage game in the series. The Pistons had no answer for the rookie's hot hand. Yet when the story gets told years later, that entire moment gets erased, like Gibson never existed. Also, you might mention that, hey, this was LeBron's 4th NBA season. He was still young. Really? Dwayne Wade won an NBA title in his 3rd NBA season with an old and tired Shaq who averaged 12 points in the finals that year. Wade is also not the build and power of LeBron James. He's a small guard next to him. Let's put this in perspective. Daniel Gibson, an 8-point per game role player, had the game of his life when LeBron couldn't deliver. If that doesn't happen, the 2007 Cavaliers' miracle run ends in the Eastern Conference Finals. By the way, what happened next? Cleveland gets to the finals and reality hits hard. They run into San Antonio, a dynasty led by Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, Manu Ginobili, coached by Greg Popovich. And what happens? A clean 4-0 sweep. LeBron shoots 35% for the series and averages 22 points a game. The Cavs are completely overmatched, outcoached, and outclassed. Because the truth is, that team wasn't built for a finals run. It was a solid defensive group that benefited from weak Eastern competition and one incredible shooting night from an unlikely hero. So when people say LeBron carried a trash team to the finals, no. He led a very good defensive team through a weak conference, and a rookie had the best game of his life at the perfect time to save that season and allow the Cavs go to the finals. That's not hate. That's reality. And that's what makes the 2007 run so misunderstood and misrepresented. It wasn't LeBron against the world. It was LeBron inside a well-coached, defensively elite system that won together. They weren't bad, they were balanced. But the finals proved what everyone saw later in Miami. LeBron needed help, a lot of it. When a competition got real, one superstar wasn't enough. Still, here's the thing. None of this takes away from LeBron's talent. The man was 22 years old, putting up near triple doubles in the playoffs. That's remarkable. But we have to stop pretending he single-handedly dragged that roster to greatness. He had Zydrunas Ilgauskas, Drew Gooden, Larry Hughes, Anderson Varejao, all solid defensive pieces in Mike Brown's system. The team wasn't stacked offensively, but it was far from trash. When you rank 4th in defense, that's not an accident. That's system and personnel. So let's summarize. Round 1, Cavs beat an injury-riddled 41-41 Wizards team. Round 2, Cavs beat another 500 team in the Nets. Round 3, they beat a strong but fading Detroit team thanks to LeBron's legendary Game 5 and Daniel Gibson's miracle Game 6. Finals, they got swept by San Antonio. That's the real 2007 story. Not the fantasy ESPN keeps feeding, where LeBron carried a garbage roster through the fire. He played a big role, absolutely the main guy, but he didn't do it alone. The 2007 run should be remembered as a team success, one where everyone from Gibson to Ilgauskas to Varejao to the Cavs defense contributed. But because sports media loves hero narratives, that nuance got erased. And that's why people forget about Game 6, the game that wouldn't have existed in the LeBron carried script. So if you really want to honor the truth about the season, don't just mention the 48-point game, mention the 10-point Game 1, mention the 19-point Game 2, the 27% shooting night in Game 6, and mention Daniel Gibson, the rookie who went nuclear when his superstar couldn't. Because without him, there is no 2007 NBA Finals appearance. And that's the truth they never want to talk about. LeBron didn't carry that 2017 by himself. He was carried with it. The system, by defense, and by one unforgettable night from a rookie who caught fire. That's no hate. That's history. And truth is truth. Now, comment section is open. Let me know what you guys think. Like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.